is saying that works, and the shit ain't working, and it's
Right.
like, well, let's talk
Let me
about
ask you a
how
question, Brother P.
Yeah.
Brother P, let me ask you a question. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's say you had a nephew probably about 22 or 23 years old, right?
I actually do, for real. So,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your nephew comes up to you and says, I want you to meet this woman. You meet my new girl. Okay, I'm getting pretty serious with her. You see that so you meet the girl and you see that she may be suffering from some mental illness. Would you say to him, hey, continue in the relationship with her, or would you give him another option, such as, hey man, maybe you should not continue the relationship, but try to help her get some help for this mental illness that she has? And because I saw somebody in the chat say, well, what does mental illness look like? I'm not saying they're drooling at the mouth and all that. No, what I'm saying is mental illness is simply an inability to put logical blocks together and come away with a constructive position after putting the logical blocks together. You know what I mean? If I say so that's what I'm saying. So if you're telling somebody, hey, if you leave the car running, it's going to run out of gas, and because they can't put all of that together, and the only thing they focusing on is you try to tell them, they figure you're trying to control them by telling them what to do. If that's what they're going to focus on, then that is a form of mental illness. That's all.
This is what we're saying, bro. I'm sorry. This is what we're saying, bro. There's all kinds of mental illness, not just.
That's what I'm saying. You
got different types of mental illness.
So to answer the question, I've actually had this conversation. So it's 12. I got 12 siblings. It's 12 of us all together, all from the same dad. Not different mothers. 6 different mothers. Okay, so I actually had this conversation with one of my nephews who just so happens to be 22, and so. When before he got with his wife, you know what I'm saying? Now, you know, he had a conversation with me because we in the same organization. I went to go see him, you know, become a part of the same organization that we in. So it's like when he had the conversation, he trusted me to give him the best advice possible, right? So when I met her, you know what I'm saying, after meeting her and then me and him having the conversation on the side, I told him, I said, man, as long as she is looking at the situation as a whole, where she can validate and understand you can validate and understand her, and y'all both have a communication where you're basically comprehending each other, understanding each other, talking to each other, communicating and stuff like that, then it's going to work. If it's a situation where you don't hear her, she don't hear you, y'all can't communicate, it's not going to work. Because the truth of the matter is everybody got a mental illness. I'm just keeping it 100. Like everybody got it.
Let me go get you up out of here.
It's your duty to figure out what it is that's wrong. But I'm being for real. Like everybody do got a mental illness. Like I'm coming from, I study psychology, you know, like I went through all of that and I'm looking at it from a person.
So what do you think? Now, I liked everybody on the panel, you know, Brother Choatic, Sonny, PD, Abeo, On the Block with Jen, and Raz Girl 37. Everybody was real cool, man. It was real respectful. We disagreed with each other all over the board, but we was real, very respectful. But PD kept throwing up these, just like these way out constructs that was slowing down the logical inferences that were being put out on the table, and I couldn't understand why. Matter of fact, not only PD but Sonny as well. Shout out to PD and Sonny. I couldn't understand why they were doing that. I mean, I thought what I was saying was pretty clear, and it was, you know, pretty easy to understand, but they kept coming up with the 0.001% of people that it could work with. And I was like, yeah, but we're not talking about the 0.001%. We got to talk about the 99.9999%, right? That's what we got to worry about, you know. But, you know, so you'll see Brother P and Sister Sonny even Sister Ras girl. I think me and Jim were the only one, and Brother Chaotic were the only ones that were tied to the logic. I think the rest of them were tied to the Fantasyland type understanding. But hey, they were all great, and they were all good sports. But you just see in the dialogue what I'm talking about.
Perspective of this, I'm gonna give
Ras girl, could you not smoke your dope?
No, but what he's saying is everybody has
you're
issues.
good.
Everybody has issues. He's not saying just mental illness, but everybody has
I'm
something.
not saying
Okay.
Yeah, like people go
We all
through
have
anxiety,
issues.
people go through
Yeah.
depression, and sometimes they don't even know that they're going through it. So
Can I answer Clarence's
I'm
question?
with you, Petey.
go ahead.
Can I answer Clarence's question, please?
Go ahead, brother.
You want to know my answer, Clarence?
Yes, sir.
No. And
but-
I know it's going to be shocking to a lot of people, and quite frankly, from the bottom of my heart, I don't care. I'm the chaotic truth. The fact of the matter is that you have to look out for the best interest of yourself.
Right.
And yes, that is placing people in a box. Yes, that is, basically putting certain people in a group. Of course, that's human nature. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm going to use a weird example here. Is the sparrow mad that it's not born a human? No, it was just happened. That's just nature, right? So you may be thinking where I'm going with this one. Yes, you can't handle the fact that you were born into poverty. You can't handle the fact that you were born. Listen, I'm short. I'm 5'7". Now, I could walk around mad all day. People just don't like me just because. Why do I always have to be funny every fucking where I go? Why do I always have to be charismatic? Because I'm a short little dude with a big head. Now, a tall dude, he doesn't have to be funny. A tall dude doesn't have to be charismatic. So what I'm saying is this. Yes, as a man, if I had a little nephew, I would say, sir, she has a mental illness. Now, could she help being born with that? No. But that doesn't mean that you have to be with her. You have to put up with her bullshit. You have to put up with all her problems because that girl is going to come with a lot of problems. I've dated girls with mental illnesses. I had one girl I dated with a mental illness. She cried almost every fucking day. I don't know, the wind could blow the wrong way. She's crying. I'm a very positive and happy person. I don't want to be around that shit. And I don't know what was wrong with her. Now, she was from a broken home. But I'm not saying that's the reason why, but she just had a lot of mental illnesses. Her mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Well, that's probably why she got a mental illness.
He told me her mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so what I'm saying is this. Why do I have to put up with that? Just like, for example, I don't expect somebody rich. I don't expect, I'm going to use Trump's daughter to say, you know what, that chaotic guy is a really cool person. Even though he's poor, I mean, not poor, but in comparison to them, even though he's not rich like me, I'm going to date him. No, because that's just the order of things. So
that's because he's been conditioned not to do that.
Sonny, let me get you up out of here.
Chaotic, can I jump in real quick?
Go, Jen, you guys can jump in 1,000 times.
Okay, I have to agree with you 110%. I think that human beings complicate their own lives with the bleeding heart, with the pity, with the, but nobody's perfect. All of that will get you FUCK
in the head. Banged out.
And then even when we use the word mental illness, everybody's up in arms. Like, what do you mean by mental illness? But there's nothing wrong with mental illness. Social media has also made us soft and dumb.
Facts.
Okay? Mental illness is mental illness. I have a niece. She brought home some crazy white boy, I'm just call it like it is, who suffered from severe social anxiety. He would run up the block, and my niece is in her early 20s, would run up the block, okay, panic, sit on the sidewalks, cry. And I looked at my niece dead in the face and said, I don't know what you think this love thing is, but that dude sitting on the sidewalk is not it.
Whoa, Jen, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Your younger sister, who was in her early 20s.
No, my niece.
Your niece, who was in her early 20s, was dating this boy, 20-something.
Yes.
And he would just randomly get mad and run up the street and just sit on the sidewalk?
Yes, he had like some sort of social anxiety. So she brought him over to meet us, and then he panicked and ran down the block, sat on the sidewalk, and was insisting he needed his prescription, or somebody had to go run and get him some weed so he can function. And I looked at my niece and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But we're teaching people, we are conditioned the opposite way. It's okay. You know, you're not perfect, such and such. And you know, mental illness is not so bad anymore. You could no. No, like we have to stop doing that. And I think, you know, we're conditioned to be bleeding hearts and to accept everything, right? Because we're not perfect. And then you add social media to that, and we can't even talk about these things anymore because now we're shaming people. No. Stay away from it. You see the truck coming, don't jump in front of it. It's so easy to do. It's easy to do, but we complicate our own lives.
I mean, I'm not going to date anybody that's mentally ill. I'm not. I've been through that. I've dated someone too that was office rocker, and trust me, I got out the situation. But I didn't know that until I was in the situation that he was.
I gotta put Roz girl on front here. Roz girl, do you mind if I put you on front real quick? Some time ago, about 6 months ago, Roz girl's trying to tell me I shouldn't judge. I said, well, shit. How come you don't date midgets? Well, I would never date a midget. Ain't you judging? What's wrong with the midget? They're human.
They're little people. They're little people.
Yeah, little people. Yeah, I want to get. Well,
people.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I say judge everything. Judge me. Judge the Starbucks guys. Judge everything. Judging is conducive to survival. We've been conditioned to think judging is bad. Judging is necessary for survival. I judge all damn day, and I invite you to judge me as well, right? Because it's conducive to your survival.
What's this lady's name speaking right now? I can't see.
Her name is Jen.
Jen, sister Jen, you preaching the gospel right now. Well, listen. I heard the story my man was telling about his wife, and it broke my heart. You know, it broke my heart. He overlooked all her craziness, and she still left his dumb ass. I mean, my bad. I didn't mean to say dumb.
Let's be respectful, HB.
Yeah, my bad. She still left him though, but that's because of one thing, man. You don't get no credit for being considerate. You don't get no credit for being soft out here. Dog, if you in a position to be married, if you in a position to be married, you get the best you can get. Don't play around in the dirt. Don't play around in the trash. Just because you came up a way, you supposed to feel sorry for how somebody else came up. Man, you made it out of this shit. What's wrong with you? Don't ever put yourself in a position where you made it out and then you gotta bring some ungrateful ass bitch up with you. That's not how it works.
And vice versa too, right?
And vice versa.
Yep.
Listen.
And vice versa.
What name me one woman that put a man on and made him a better man? Let me know.
Mary J. Blige.
HB, well, HB, I see where you're going, but I
see where he's going. I see where he's going.
But you just say in general. Because some women do hold down men. I ain't gonna. Yeah,
they do. They do, but they usually do it behind the scenes. They're not making it a big spectacle. They just doing it because, and honestly, Labudo, listen. They are also getting something out of it too. Women don't just help. There's no such thing as altruism. Women don't help nobody. Women don't.
Right. Well, that's nature, and that's what I was trying to stress earlier. That is nature. Women don't just. A woman will only help her child. That's it. And that's and Sonny, no offense.
I don't even think they help them.
Children. I think that women do have a default mechanism when it comes to altruism for their children. But in terms of anybody else, you are right. I think women do have different motives. I'll agree with you on that.
They'll help them right then and there. But, I mean, they not.
But I think that's because of our nature, the way we evolved, man, hunt from hunters and gatherers,
But like my man was talking about earlier, the life insurance guy, that's how men, show that they love their children. They leave them life insurance. They talk. You talk about. Yeah. Can you hear me?
My fault. I want you to finish what you're saying. I want to tell you a story that brought what you just said to mind. When I was in college, it was about 17 years ago. I had to be like 19 or 20. I went to college in a very rural town called Kent, and I was driving on some ice, and I rolled into a ditch because the girl in front of me wouldn't turn. The girl, it was a blonde-haired white girl. Not to say that if she would have been any other color. She did not know what to do, and she just drove off. But I feel like a man would have been like, hey, man, a man would have rallied. His brain would have rallied. Like, I'm going to go see if that man is all right. Like, we just have we function differently. So I do agree with what you're saying. Men are more altruistic. I think that a man,
yeah, we'll literally just do something just to help somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, it is
because we're strong enough to do it. We could think.
Exactly.
Not to say that,
Exactly. We could offer that. And, you know, a lot of times women, they get into this thing like, what does he have to offer? Man, the stuff men have to offer, y'all don't even be thinking about. That's what we got to offer. All the shit that you don't think about, that's what we offer. All of it. So, listen, man, if you working your ass off to put yourself in a position to be a married man, you go after the best. Don't let these mental games that they playing on the media. Oh, she's got mental issues, blah blah blah. There's like 10 women to 1 man out here, man. You got options. Don't play yourself.
I see Clarence wants to talk real quick. Give me 1 second, okay? It was something in the chat that I wanted to point out, and thank you, HB, for that. Damn, where was it? Somebody said that. Now, hear me out. Somebody said in the chat, I don't date men under 6 feet tall. Now, the average man in America, black or white, is 5'9", 5'10". Now, I could get up here and cry like a bitch.
Yeah. But
I could get up here and cry. How come they don't want to date me? But that's just how we are as human beings. There's nothing wrong with what you're saying, HB. There's nothing wrong with what Jen said. It is survival of the fittest. It's nothing wrong with that. I know it's shocking to hear that, Sonny. Shocking to hear that.
No, it's not shocking to hear
I just wanted to say your name, Sonny, just randomly. I just want to just randomly say your name. I know you agree with me. I know it's shocking, but it's the truth. Wise girl, you wouldn't date a dwarf.
I would not date someone who's probably like 5'6" and under, possibly.
Okay.
And you made it, Truth.
Yeah. Oh, I'm married, but yeah.
But someone
so
mental illness, I most likely would date them. Sorry.
Yeah. So a woman with schizophrenia or a man with schizophrenia or some sort of underlying. I agree with Petey. We probably all do have some sort of underlying mental thing. I don't think I do, but like things like schizophrenia and bipolar, like those things affect your daily life for real. Mm-hmm. And so the few girls that I've dated who had these underlying conditions, the one girl who told me that her mom was schizophrenic and I met her mom, I said, oh no, I'm out. No, because I don't want to deal with that. It's billions of women on the planet. Why would I want to deal with this? The NBA doesn't pick. Listen, the NBA doesn't pick. Clarence, you watch basketball. When's the last time you seen the NBA say, you know what? Let's be fair. Let's just go onto some random street and pick some random tall black guy to play. No, it's a process. You got to be talented. Yeah, hopefully that example made any sense. Go ahead, Clarence.
They vet extensively. They do a background check. They do a health screen. They vet extensively. They do a psychological exam.
Do they?
A lot.
Right? You just can't. Players running on the street right now dealing with mental issues.
Right, and that's why they're not in the NBA because they may come and then they don't pass one of those examinations, and the people be like, I'm not gonna invest no money on him. That's why Kevin Garnett was out there. So, but you know what I mean, or Dennis Rodman, you know what I mean, because they didn't pass the initial vetting. You know what I mean?
But Valerie said, I won't date any guys that are overweight. Now, if a man were to say that about a woman, a lot of women would be complaining.
Right. I wouldn't complain. I would not complain.
And see, that's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of. That's the problem with a lot of men. See, if you go date beneath you, then you need to just let her know what it is. Tell her that she's fat. Tell her that her daddy ain't shit. Tell her that her brother.
No, HB, I agree with you, but like.
Okay, this is where HB started going off the rails. I mean, he went off the rails a little bit, before, but now he starts going off the rails, and I'm gonna have to come back in and try to straighten it out and try to make sense out of kind of what he was saying, but kind of explain it a little more in detail. So just hang on, y'all.
But that might be a little too harsh. Telling somebody you're fat, like you're
it's
fat.
Not though. It's
you
not
mean
though.
So you mean to tell me you would be on some Al Bundy shit? You would walk up to a girl and be like, "Look, I can't date you. You're fat." Come HBI.
Listen. If she's not open to working out, what we got to talk about?
So wait a minute. Hold on for a second. Let me get this straight, HB. I rock with you, and you know I'm extreme. But you mean to tell me if you're just out and let's say you go on a blind date and the date shows up and she's 250 pounds. You're going to tell her you're fat?
Listen. If she's a 250 is too much, but let's say she around 200, right? She 200. And I think she's cute, but she has no interest in working out at all. None. I can't deal with her.
Then you just say it was 10 women to every man. So
exactly.
Then you should go find somebody else then.
Exactly. It's nothing to talk about. And this
right,
this is my issue with a lot of men is we try to just overlook the flaws instead of addressing them. Maybe she's at that point in her life where she needs a man to address that stuff so she could get better. Listen, I'm trying to see you shine, baby. If you ain't trying to shine, what we got to talk about?
Can I say something, man? Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Hey, let Roscoe go real quick. Let Roscoe go ahead. Go ahead, Roscoe.
Please.
Yeah.
I just want to say in regards to mental illness. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, it was a little bit choppy, but go ahead. You got the floor.
I just want to say in regards to mental illness. I definitely think that those that suffer from mental illness can be functional adults, just as those that suffer from diabetes and heart disease. I think that those things are something that is hereditary, and if you're vetting or if you think that that's a red flag, heart disease, diabetes, all those things are red flags too, because when you're
Now, she compared mental illness to heart disease and diabetes. Okay. Could be. I think you have to look at all of that. But why was she? So let's look at her argument. Her argument was, if you consider mental illness a red flag for not trying to pursue a long-term relationship with someone, then on the same page, you should consider a person who has diabetes and what else did she say? Diabetes and something else. You should consider that as an issue. Heart disease or whatever is an issue. And what I'm saying is, those, in my opinion, are not as bad of an issue. If I had to choose between diabetes and heart disease, I'm choosing diabetes and mental illness. I'm choosing the diabetes. All things being equal, I'm choosing the diabetes. Same thing with the heart problems. I'm choosing the heart problems over the mental illness. Because the mental illness, you're jeopardizing your personal safety. With the diabetes and the heart problem or whatever else she said, you're not jeopardizing your personal safety by dealing with that. Yes, it's going to be probably difficult to live with somebody who has those ailments, especially if they're not taking care of it and managing it properly. Yes, it's going to be difficult to deal with. But it's going to be enormously more difficult to deal with a person with mental illness that is not managing that situation, because the person with the mental illness can affect your personal health. Your personal safety is at risk dealing with somebody with mental illness. And that's the difference, in my opinion. Your personal safety is not at risk dealing with somebody with diabetes. Your personal safety is not at risk dealing with somebody with whatever else she said, heart problems or whatever else. So that was my issue with her. And the reason why they all talking about mental illness because the sister up here asked me, well, why don't you throw out a red flag that we need to be looking for? And I said mental illness. And this sister right here, she kind of got upset. He got upset. And, but, not, they didn't get upset, but they definitely pushed back on it. And I don't know why, but they did. But it was all in love, all respectful. So not there to say anything bad about either one of them, but just the fact that they were pushing back. I couldn't figure out why they were pushing back on it. But anyway, let's finish the story here.
Dating and having kids, all that can be passed down to your future generations. I think that to basically say that a person with mental illness cannot live life or they're crazy or anything, I think that's to be in my thing a little disheartening and shallow. Everybody in this.
So I never said that a person, and I kept correcting her, but she just kept holding on to the fact that I kept telling her I never said that a person who had mental illness couldn't live a productive life. That's not the point. The point is, do you have the training to deal with somebody in your life that has mental illness for a lifetime? Are you prepared to deal with that in a long-term relationship? In most instances, most people do not have the clinical training to deal with somebody who has a serious mental issue. Therefore, to get into a relationship with them, a long-term relationship with them, is not wise because, the van's going to hit the sidewalk at some point. So that was my whole point. I never said they can't function in society, but she extrapolated that because I'm saying don't get in a long-term relationship, they can't be in society, they need to be shut down, and all of this other stuff she was talking about. So that's why she's saying it. She's saying this to get back at me, to cover me, because I was saying that you shouldn't get into a long-term relationship with somebody who has openly displayed to you that they are mentally ill.
This world doesn't suffer from mental illness. Some people have bad days. Some people don't feel good today. Some people might be sick 2 days from now. Some people might be asleep. But mental illness is the clinical diagnosis that if you don't suffer from it, you will not know the pains and the aches of that. Those people strive every day to live a functional life, and they do that. Just because we choose or some choose not to date them doesn't mean that they're not good people for someone else in society.
Can I respond to that?
That's it.
I want to say I agree.
Okay.
I totally agree with what you said. I've done nonprofit work. I feel for people who have mental illness, but I am not going to commit to one in a relationship. I don't want to have a child with you. And I think that's a choice that we have. And it doesn't mean that we're bashing people with mental illness. It means I don't want to be a part of this, but it doesn't mean that you're a throwaway. Right. Or you don't count. I met someone one time who had, checked all my list of things that I like. And then getting to know him, the vetting process, as we spoke about before, he's telling me he's on a bunch of medication. He was a military man and, he bugs out every now and then. Now, he checked all my other boxes, but I'm not going to lay with you and you wake up one day and think I'm the enemy and shoot me with your gun. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I still, I cared for him and I feel bad for him, but we have to really decide what we're doing here, right? So I don't want it to sound like, people with mental illnesses are throwaways, because we all do have some underlying issues, some bigger than others, but we just have to choose better and choose wiser is my thing. So when my niece brought that guy home, I was like, no, Shayna, this ain't it. He ain't it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I agree with Jen on that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Like I said, I went through that, and the guy that I dated was in the military. He had been in the military, so he suffered from, anxiety, I guess, bipolar. I don't know what it was because I was younger. But now that I'm older, I got married to a mentally stable man. So,
okay, guys, listen.
So now I get what you're saying.
I'm not trying to be funny here. And again, guys, thank you guys for coming on the panel today. Guys, I'm not trying to be funny here. You know, I get real chaotic when I'm talking. I dated a girl, and Petey, I think you know who this girl is, Petey. Years ago, almost 20 years ago, I dated this girl. She had been sexually assaulted as a child, and I'm saying supposedly respectfully, because I don't know. But supposedly she had been sexually assaulted by a family member. One day we were just chopping it up talking, and you know I have big bug eyes, and I was just staring. And you know when I'm talking to people, when people are talking, I don't I let them talk, and I'm listening to her talk. I don't know what she was talking about. I don't know. She could have been talking about going to McDonald's, as far as I remember. She said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" I was like, "What?" Like it was like it just came out of nowhere. She said, "Don't look at me like that." And she had it like, she had, now I'm not trying to be funny. I know everybody's all hating. No, I'm not trying to be funny, but she literally said that. And she literally had almost like what Sonny's talking about. She woke up, or in that instant, I became the enemy because of her PTSD with, I guess, being sexually assaulted. Mm. And so, yes, I feel for people who've been sexually assaulted. Hell, I was, sexually assaulted by some older females in high school one time, but that's neither here nor there. You guys didn't get the joke. Okay. But anyway,
Brother C, can I break?
No, hold on. So what I'm saying is that, yes, do I have a right as a man to say I don't want to date a girl who's been sexually assaulted? No, because it's too much baggage. Jen, go ahead, Jen.
No, I just said womp, womp, womp. With that said, beautiful ladies, gentlemen, I am out because I have to start some things over here on the West Coast. Thank you so much for sharing with me and being respectful. Petey, you changed the world, man, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Taking care of your red flags and improving and being, proactive. You changed the world if you change yourself. With that said, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you so much.
Jen, have a good one. Okay, Brother Clarence, what's up?
Good day.
Okay. Now, I wanted to say something about something that the brother said. He said that women just will not help anybody, and I disagreed with that, but I let him finish what he was saying. But he said women won't help anybody. Now, women used to be very helpful, but we had cats like Ted Bundy and other kind of guys that made it kind of hard for women to just step out on a limb and help just any man that they see, because they could be getting put into a trap. And we as fathers told our daughters, hey, I don't care what this dude, he could have a spear coming out of him. You go call the police. You don't help that dude. You know what I mean? Just out of the fear of all of these different bad things that can happen to a female. So females are not just like that just because they don't have no reason to be like that. It's their personal safety that they're looking at that makes them to be back up against that.
And Brother Clarence, and I want you to finish your point, and maybe that was one of the reasons why that girl didn't help me when I was in that ditch.
Of course not.
Of course not. Because first of all,
know if you running the game or what you doing. And now, what the bad part about it is now? The bad part about it is now we got to look at females like that too. We don't know if she's acting like she got a car hood up and she's acting like she's having problems. You pull over to help her and her man jumps out behind the car and they rob you. You never know. You never know. So now we have to look at it like that, and it's unfortunate. And where we get the well, where has chivalry happened? Well, it's just a sign of the times that everybody has to look out for their personal safety first. Because our number one job when we walk out of the house is to get back home the same way, right? So, and if I got to pass somebody along the road that needs help so that I can get home, then I'm going to have to do it. Now, the question is, are you going to call them for help for them? Maybe you can do that. But that's all I want to say, because a lot of times we say stuff, and I didn't think he was coming from a place of explaining the whole situation. I felt he was coming from a place of personal experience, and that's, so making the sisterhood look like, oh, well, they don't want to help us at all.
Right.
It's not maybe not be they don't want to help us. It's because they have to look out for their personal safety first, right? So we can understand that better. That makes more sense to us, right? The other thing was, if you look at now, what I'm talking about as far as looking for mental illness, I'm talking about looking for mental illness in a person that you're trying to have a long-term relationship with.
Exactly.
In a marriage. Now, if you're trying to just have casual sex with someone and you're never going to see them again, which I don't recommend, but if you're going to have unprotected casual sex with someone, then maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you don't need to vet as hard. But see, this is the problem. A lot of us are out here having unprotected sex. We're not vetting the people, thinking that we're never going to see them again, and then we ended up conceiving children with them, and now we have to develop some type of relationship with them, and then we come to find out they weren't even what we even thought they were. Everybody was on their best behavior for that one night, and that's what I'm saying is the problem. We need to have more discipline and take a little more time with the people that we having all this unprotected sex with, just to make sure that just in case we have a baby with them, they're going to be reasonable. If in case we don't want to be in a long-term relationship with them, they're not going to make us and the child suffer by keeping the child from us. You know what I mean? So that's the things that I was trying to say. I didn't say, and to the sister to my left, or my right on the screen, I never was trying to say that just because you have mental illness that you're a bad person. You must, I have mental illness in my family. So I would never say, oh, you're just a bad person. You push you out the way. But I definitely don't recommend you being in a long-term relationship because long-term relationships are difficult for people that have a lower level of impairment, let alone a person with a high level of impairment. It's just, it's too, in my opinion, it's too much to put on yourself if you don't have the training to deal with a person that has mental illness. If you don't have the clinical training to deal with that, then I don't think you should get into a long-term relationship with somebody like that because you're not going to help them. You may not be able to understand the things they're going to do and their perspective on things, and you'll get frustrated with them, and it may lead to treatment, in my opinion.
Brother Knez, so we've talked before previously, and so even with nuclear families, again, I think nuclear families are the better option in comparison to co-parenting or single-parent households. But even with nuclear families, you do have to vet to the point where it's like, I don't want I want to, even if a female does come from a nuclear family or if a man does, you want to vet the parents. You want to vet the grandparents. You want to see any underlying conditions. And Razio, to a degree, you made a point. You said, well, what about diabetes? What about this? Hell yeah. What about those things? What about those things? I say, yeah, vet all that shit. I totally agree with you. I agree with eugenics, and I agree with vetting for the best qualities.
Yeah, you got to vet on every level: diet, health, spirituality, conflict resolution. That's a big one that we especially Black people, we don't vet a person based on how they resolve conflict, right? Because everybody tries to run away from the conflict. Oh, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later, and then some actually comes to a point where it can't be talked about anymore. I mean, it can't be, pushed away anymore, and then that's when you find out who you're really dealing with. You know what I mean? So we have to be better with the vetting process. But see, here's another problem in the Caucasian society. Dating 30 years ago meant I'm looking for a spouse. I'm looking for a husband or a wife. That's what dating means. Today, dating means I'm looking for somebody for casual sex. So that's the problem. So the vetting process, which was the courtship process, there's a courting process that has been removed from the dating process because people want to have the casual sex. Courting process is going to slow down the casual sex. So people have removed it from the process. So now, instead of going through your family to meet your family and see, how your family operates with you, without you, whatever, and getting to know them, now we don't have that process. A woman is out there flying on her own, picking men on her own, and we statistically as people are doing a horrible job, men and women, a horrible job of picking people as you can see by Brother P's story, you know, that's just one story in a billion of how many men are being having problems. And I'm sure if we went to the women, they would have a bunch of different stories as well. You know, we just doing a horrible job of picking mates, of mate selection. Why? Because the fathers are not in the home. You're not seeing the yin and the yang of how a relationship is supposed to work with both people in the home and both people in, statistically. I'm not saying that everybody with a nuclear family it all works out. No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is statistically, it's the best option on the table. If we had to pick an option on the table, it's the best option on the table. It's not. It doesn't have. It's not flawless. So I'm not saying that the nuclear family is flawless. What I'm saying is, out of everything that's on the table, it's the best option on the table.
But don't you think also when people aren't picking, when they pick certain people that's not conducive to them striving or thriving, there's some lack of self-worth there.
Yes.
So
but where does that lack of self-worth come?
But that doesn't mean that. But it doesn't mean that it comes
being in the home.
No, that's not true. Because Peter just told you about what's the girl that got married, messed with the baby, and had a baby.
Oh, Danny Lake.
Oh yeah, she came from a two-parent home. And there's a lot of two-parent homes.
But I'm saying statistically,
nuclear homes.
I mean, we can't take the point.
Statistically,
we can't take the 0.001% and then say that's the the average.
But how do we know it's 1%? But how do we know that? Because
we look at our results. I mean, we look at the statistics. 75% of households in the Black community are run at a single family. So obviously something is awry. And most of those people, I would imagine, would like a partner. So something is going on there. Why are we pushing this situation?
Can I speak on the perspective real quick? So earlier I mentioned, you know, as an individual, you're supposed to kind of know the value in yourself, but then also recognize the value in the other person, right? But I still think the other part to it is that, okay, why do you want to be with somebody? You know what I'm saying? That's a question that has to be answered too, because it's okay, I want to be with somebody because I want to live an American dream that I was taught to have, or am I trying to be with somebody because I want to create something for the generations of family after? And if so, what is it that we got to do to create that? You feel me?
Can I give you, Brother Pete? Let me interrupt you, but can I give you the reason why this is the reason why most men want to be with a woman, because of the sexual tension that the woman creates for them. That's what draws them into being in relationships with them. And they try to build relationships based off the sexual tension that this woman can create. I'll get over this situation. I'll ignore this red flag. I'll ignore this red flag. I'll ignore that red flag. I'll ignore her bad credit. I'll ignore her $100,000 of debt. I'll ignore her children, 3 children from 10 different dads. I'll ignore all these different situations because she keeps the sexual tension so high. So that's the theory I'm working off of, Brother P. So let me give it back to you. Let me give you back the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the sexual theory and everything like that. I mean, but once again, that still goes back to the individual. Why do they feel the need to have to connect with somebody physically? Because, you know, once again, it goes back to the mind. It's something that has to be determined and solidified discipline-wise in the mind in order to understand why you want to feel connection with somebody outside of your primal nature, outside of the primal thought process. You feel me? So I'm acknowledging the theory of the sex, yes. But outside of that thought process, that primal nature, what is the reason? What's the purpose of being with someone? And what are you going to create or produce after you're with someone? So that's the reason why I'm looking at, or I'm actually bringing that perspective, because it's we can speak on what the problem is. We can speak on the successes of relationships and stuff like that. However, collectively, if we're looking at it, which is the reason I was talking about the group earlier with, I think it was Alonzo, right? He had the group with the married men and stuff like that. Those are the things, in my opinion, that I feel that brings people together, communities together, and then you also work together to build, just like the small hats. You feel me? So it's just, I'm looking at it from a grander perspective, even though it's on a smaller level between two people. You know what I'm saying? How does those two people build and grow out like that, up and out like that.
The small hats don't use sexual tension to build families. In the black community, we use sexual tension to build families, and that's why we're going wrong. The small hats, they use cultural norms. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's normal. We're not going to let you marry this one. The father will say, I'm not going to let you marry my daughter, and you even know it. You can't marry my daughter unless you have a job, a house, or a car. You're established. You have to be established before you can even approach your father to marry her.
Right, that's like taking care of yourself. Yeah, you got to be able to take care of yourself in order to take care of somebody else.
In the black community, it's the reverse. I got her pregnant. Now I got to go get a job. Now I got to go build something. Now I got to go get a house. Now I got to go do, it's the reverse in the black community. That's why I'm saying it's so much, they have cultural norms that we don't have and we don't subscribe to. And that's we got cultural norms that are killing us. Like, having all this unprotected premarital sex is killing us. Yeah, it's just killing us, and then we don't realize it, and we think, oh, I'm a man, especially the men. I'm a man because I got this many bodies. I got this many bodies, and now it's got so bad that the females will think that I got all these bodies, right? Not realizing most men are not going to want to be, well, most men that think highly of themselves, not going to want to be with a woman who's got a closet full of bodies. They want the least amount of wear and tear on the vagina as possible, right? That's what gives you your value. So, but they don't see it that way now, right? You got Megan Thee Stallion, you got Maxine Waters telling women that, hey, you're strong if you're promiscuous. That shows strength, right? I mean, it's crazy. So
did Maxine Waters really say that?
Yes. Well, she said it in the form of saying that Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion made a song called WAP. She said that song shows strength. She said that song shows strength.
Let's be completely honest, and not to make this super political. Everybody on the panel knows Maxine Waters' 94-year-old ass didn't listen to WAP, don't know who none of those chicks are at all. It's something that somebody, her publicist or somebody saw. Oh, yeah, she's a congressman, right? Congresswoman.
Yes, she is.
Right, Congresswoman Waters, just say this and you'll get your, whatever, your votes, or, the black people will really like you more now. Or you
the same way Donald Trump didn't listen to Little
Wayne. Let me go get you up out of here.
Okay. I'm just. All right,
let's get you up. Let's get it.
Nor does he listen to Kanye West. But anyway.
But okay. You don't like Trump, but okay, we got you. Go ahead.
You're gonna compare Maxine with, maybe she did listen to the song. She looks like a woman that would make
Sonny. Like Maxine Waters is 90 years old. She doesn't know.
I don't like. She doesn't know who Cardi B is. But I don't like the song. I don't like what Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion brings to the culture. I think they are. They are culture vultures.
They are. I was going to ask you. My question to you, Sister Sonny, was going to be this: do you think that she could have? I know in her mind what she was trying to do was support them. Do you think she could have supported them without, patting them on the back for putting out a song that promotes promiscuity?
With what's the girl? Cardi B and
Megan Thee Stallion.
Martin the Stallion.
No.
Maxine Waters she didn't know who those chicks were an hour before her publicist.
I think Maxine Waters, I think when it comes to politics, everybody has their own agenda, to be honest with you. Maxine Waters, she's a strong woman. She's been in the system.
Of course.
For how many years now?
Of course.
So, but I don't think that, she may have listened to the song. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Cardi B.
Do you think that other women would listen to her and say, oh, if Maxine Waters says that I'm powerful for listening to this song is a powerful song, and ergo that being promiscuous, because that's what they basically are promoting in the song.
Well, right. So we have a 15-year-old daughter here, and she doesn't listen to that song, but she's made a statement because this is what they put out into the media. This is the strong it's supposed to be. Not so much about being promiscuous, but about woman or women empowerment, saying that you all can go out and objectify women, so I'm gonna go ahead and objectify myself because it's my body. I can do what I want, and I'm taking my power back as a woman. This is what that song was supposed to mean. So no, it was, and so it's like get out here.
I
don't see it that way. I don't see it like that at all. I think the song is nasty. I think, I'm tired of seeing women dropping it like it's hot. I'm tired of seeing young men walk around with their pants sagging. I'm over it. I'm completely over it.
Somebody in the chat said Maxine Waters listens to rap. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't live with Maxine.
I don't know what she's doing. I don't know the sister, so I'm not taking a shot at her personality.
I don't know Maxine Waters like that to say she doesn't listen to rap.
Yeah, I don't know her like that either, so I can't say. But what I can say is her public approval of that behavior or that perceived behavior. You think a 12-year-old or 13-year-old girl confused about whether she...
I don't know why you would allow your 12-year-old or 13-year-old daughter to even listen to that kind of music in the first place.
But that's your 12-year-old daughter. I'm talking about there's a lot of...
I don't understand. See, I don't understand why you would allow your child at 12 and 13 to listen to that kind of music in the first place.
Because
whether it be gangster rap, I can't control everything. But in my house, I can.
But that's what I'm
whether
saying.
I'm a single parent or if I am a parent with a,
you're a single parent, you're at work all day. How are you going to control your children come home? They're what they call latchkey kids that come home. How are you going to control what they listen to?
Right, because here's the thing. If I lay down a foundation for my child as a single parent, I'm going to lay enough trust into my child that my child will trust me enough to know I can't listen to this because me and mommy or me and daddy have a certain type of foundation with one another that I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to do that because I want to be respectable of my parent